I'm Gabe, and I'm going to take some time today to tell you about the deck I'm going to play against John. We are going to sit down and play a game and then talk you through our thought process there. Hopefully that'll help some players learn to play the game a little better. We'll maybe learn some in-game strategy, and at the very least, we'll give you a look at some of the new Persecuted Church cards. Both my deck and John's deck contain a decent number of Persecuted Church cards. In fact, just a couple months ago, these could have been playtest decks for us, but they're real now, and we're enjoying the new cards. Let's start off with the dominance here. I have some pretty standard dominance. We have Angel of the Lord, New Jerusalem, Son of God. You include those in most decks. I use Destruction and Nehushtan. I like to be able to hit artifacts, some of the same artifacts I'm playing, because they're pretty commonly used. Unholy Writ, Holy Grail, there's some other ones. Darius Decree sometimes can be a pain. There's always artifacts I enjoy hitting. Sometimes I wish I had more than one Destruction and Nehushtan. Falling Away is great. There are very few ways to stop that. Some of the ways to stop it I can deal with, and we can definitely take a soul back. Christian Martyr, and in this deck I happen to have Mayhem. Not a dominant I play all the time, but I have a really nice combo with that here. I have an evil enhancement called Hypocrisy. The longer the game goes, the better that gets, really. They get a bunch of heroes down. It's territory class. I put the heroes back in their hand. I play Mayhem. I get to keep my heroes, and all their heroes are shuffled back. They get a new hand. So it essentially wipes out all their heroes, gets them back in the deck, and hopefully buys me some time. I picked all New Testament Lost Souls because I have some heretics in my deck, and they work really well with New Testament Lost Souls. The New Testament Souls also work really good together. So I have Protected from Rescue except by New Testament heroes. I have the brand new Awake Lost Soul that lets me search my deck. Let me search a deck for a Lost Soul. It will search my opponent's deck. I have a Lost Soul called Pigs that prevents drawing except on heroes. I have the Retribution Lost Soul that will punish them for looking at my hand or making me discard cards from hand, underdeck cards from hand, anything that touches my hand. Revealer Lost Soul that's going to hopefully cough up some souls for me or maybe put Son of God into their deck. I have the Lost Soul that exchanges with another soul when I put it in play. So I can start pulling these other souls out of my deck as needed. And then I have the first round Protect Lost Soul, which is a great one to exchange with the Escape Lost Soul right here. If I just want to buy a turn, I don't have any souls out, I draw the Escape Lost Soul, I swap it for the first round Protect, and hopefully they can't get to it this turn. On offense, I've chosen to go with some clay stuff. I'm kind of basing it off of the Colossae Church. Colossae Church was one of my favorite churches when we were playtesting. So I went ahead and tried out some of these heroes. I have 4 of the 5 Colossae heroes here. I'm not using Onesimus, assuming that I said that correct. I am using Philemon, Archippus, Epaphras, and Athea. At least that's how I say their names. You can say them however you'd like. And then over here I also have Music Leader. He's a great card. I want to put him in like every clay deck because there's a couple enhancements he can get back. We have Word of Christ, and we also have Praises from Prison, or Praise from Prison. He's going to get both of those for me out of the discard pile or the deck if my opponent searches or draws. That does assume I remember to use him. I'm not used to using him, and sometimes I do forget. Let's hope I don't do that today. And then we have Peter, because he's a missionary. He can count for the Colossae Church. He heals people. He's amazing. We also have Claudia, who works she's great with all clay heroes because she searches them, she bans to them, can't be interrupted, pull them right off the top of your deck for you. Barnabas, also a missionary, he can join my Colossae Church, and he can search out souls for me to rescue so I won't get soul routed. And then we have Jude. He happens to work well with the Colossae Church because he works well with heretics, and the Colossae Church is concerned about heretics. In the Colossae Church, Philemon ignores heretics. He can draw or band. Archippus here will help me out if there's a heretic in play. Cards with Christ or Jesus in the title can't be negated. Athea also works great with the Colossae Church. She can recur cards with Christ or Jesus in the title. I happen to have a few of those here. We have Created by Christ, we have Word of Christ, we have Unity in Christ. Peter's sermon has Christ in the scripture reference, and Christ's triumph, that is also has Christ in the title. So last, Epaphras, he just searches and bans 2 Colossae heroes. So we'll get them set up pretty quick. To round out my cards here, my clay enhancements anyways, we have the Lord Rebuke You. And that's an amazing battle winner there. Gets back a hero, works with Jude. He can put it under the deck if it's in the discard pile. Mercy of James is absolutely great clay enhancement. Put it in every clay deck you play. It's that good. It negates an evil card, and it also discards that card. And Praise from Prison. It's a convert. I'm not too big on converts, honestly. If I play against non-humans, they don't do anything, and that annoys me pretty bad. So I usually don't use them, but it is a musical enhancement, and the music leader here can pull it out for me, so it's really too good not to play. One bonus, when I was playtesting a game once, I did get that off on a Roman, and it can't be negated against Romans, so that's pretty awesome. For my support cards, I call these support cards here, we have an Unholy Writ, just because that can give me a block sometimes. We have Holy Grail, because that's going to get rid of some annoying evil characters. We have Paul's Books and Parchments. If your clay hero is opposed in battle, you can ban to a clay hero. I have lots of clay heroes, so that should work well for me. And then I have Divide and Unify. That's actually clay and crimson. Goes great in my deck. Once again, Jude works well with heretics, and I'm playing some crimson stuff here. And I also have clay stuff, so it's going to go well for me. Over here, I only have 3 heretics that I put in. I have Hymenaeus, who will search for a heretic. He bans to his buddy Philetus, who can protect some New Testament lost souls, which we have plenty of. And then the Deluders, he is actually kind of an anti-banding card. He's kind of small, though, so he's still going to need a little backup when he gets through that banding, but if he can just take out a single hero, he'll be okay. I also have the Serpent, really great card, not human, and can stop dominance from being played, specifically good dominance. Judas is a great card as well. Once you get his protection active, it can't be negated. Sapphira is really nice because of her Battle by the Numbers ability. The Egyptian Rebel can ban to Sapphira. His banding can't be negated, so those two together are a nice combo. And Silly Women. She is going to be some soul generation for me. She might even get a block. For Evil Battle Winners, Nebuchadnezzar's Pride is going to do an interrupt for me and has nice defensive numbers. Dissension in Antioch is also great. That's one that can't be prevented, so it goes great on Sapphira. We got another interrupt here in Christian Suing Another. I can cause a side battle with heroes. We have Disagreement over Mark. It can't be negated against New Testament heroes. And Hypocrisy I mentioned earlier, and Scattered. So lots of interrupts, some can't be negated stuff. Hopefully this deck performs as well for me as I expect it to, and we'll see how it goes.
Hi everybody, I'm John. This is the deck that I'm going to use today. I'm just going to lay out kind of what I'm going to try to do against Gabe in our game for you. So we're using a lot of the new Persecuted Church cards, just trying to get a feel for those, get those out, see what kind of interactions we have going on. So let's start with our Lost Soul selection. I'm playing all 3 of the new souls just to work them out, see how they do. So I've got the Tempter soul with a sight. I've got 1 sight floating around in here. I've actually got a couple sights just to give a capture option. I've got some things that interact with capture really well, so that's a good thing to try out. I've got the Exchange soul, so I can go get that Tempter if I want to do it early. And then I have the Awake Lost soul to counter opposing Awakes and Hoppers, and just some general soul generation going on there. Outside of that, it's somewhat standard Revealer, Exchanger, and 2-liner. I'm also playing the female only, as females are somewhat out of vogue. Dominant selection, we went with standard Son of God NJ, no defensive heavy deck here today. We're also playing Christian Martyr, Falling Away, and Vain Philosophy, and then Angel of the Lord. Grapes of Wrath is kind of in and out. I've debated Holy Spirit for this deck too. For today, we're going to go with Grapes and see how that does. So, hero selection. We've got 2 things that we're going to try out here. We're going to try out these guys, the Warrior Class Spiritual Warfare Red Clay theme, and we're going to try out this little combo. This is a combo that I've known about for a while. I've tried it before. It's a little slow. I'm hoping that some additions from the new set make it a little faster. If you have Kenaniah with Joy, it makes him CBN, so you can CBN ban to Moses, and then they're protected from that first enhancement. So in order to stop it, you have to have 2 enhancements, and the second one has to be CBN, being able to target both of them. So you're going to burn potentially 2 enhancements just to block that. So that's pretty good. So the Music Leader component here lets me search out Moses and Kenaniah. This is also why Holy Spirit's been in and out, because if I can search out all 3 pieces, I feel like this is a little bit better than it would be on its own. Enhancement selection on offense, we have Word of Christ. It's a negate. It's also music-based, so Music Leader can go recur it multiple times or go search it out if I need it. The Lord Rebuke You, just kind of spreading out the options for how we're dealing with evil characters. A lot of them these days are either protected from discard or can be insteaded somehow, so discard isn't as reliable as it used to be. Mercy of James is a very strong negate and discard. And then Eliam is Struck Blind is an interrupt and underdeck, so again, another way of dealing with those characters. That's also CBN when played on Peter, so that's really nice. So then down here we have a bunch of utility type stuff. We have 2 armors to go with our spiritual warriors. I think Hymn of Salvation is one of the best armors. The protection from opponent's dominance and capture is really, really strong. We've printed a ton of capture abilities. Capture and discard are 2 of the highest used evil battle winners. So that protection from capture is really nice. Also stopping Christian Martyr grapes. And then breastplate to negate evil characters, stop your chunk blocks like Uzzah and stuff like that. And then we're running a Soldier's Prayer, which, I mean, I'm playing a warrior class theme, so that's really good to go grab this, or potentially this card over here in the neutral stack. Roman Spear is really good paired up on any of these guys. Toss it as the battle begins to kill an evil character or play it in battle as a battle winner. So neutral utility type stuff we have going on. We're playing the new Holy Grail, the ultra rare border. It's a classic 2-for-1, being able to take out those characters before they can block in battle. It's really strong. Unholy Writ for more blocking. I am holy because I can recur these armors if I don't need to be playing them for whatever reason. You're playing defensive light or something wonky is going on where I don't need these. I can recur them constantly, which makes them great I am holy fodder to keep you discarding evil cards. And then the 2 sites, Fortress, because I'm playing a bunch of warrior class characters. I'm anticipating, getting 4 or 5 characters a hit, for the first couple times that my opponent attacks with large hand sizes. So that should make the deck really fast, I'm hoping. And then Ends of the Earth, just for access. Site access is more important than ever as people shift more towards defensive style decks, playing 1 or 2 sites for their special abilities, potentially going a full site lock idea. I'm playing that over Dragon Raid because I don't want to get hard countered by Pergamum. All of my heroes, with the exception of this little combo here, is New Testament, so that's going to get them access just as well. So then over here on the defense, we got kind of a small minimalistic gray defense. We're trying out some of the new cards here too. A couple of Centurion guys. Well, Claudius isn't a Centurion, I guess, is he? Hold on. He's a Roman commander, so not a Centurion. We got a Centurion at Jerusalem, and then Herod Sentries, Emperor Claudius for that great immunity or protection, I guess, to New Testament characters and dominance. So unless you have an interrupt or negate, he's going to stop a lot of blocks, stop a lot of rescues just on his own right there. This guy fits perfectly in here. I'm playing a bunch of capture battle winners over here. Plus, if he gets converted, he fits right in with what I'm doing here. So he made a lot of sense there. And then we just have a few captures. Uproar in Jerusalem withdraws and captures. Arrest in Jerusalem as regards to protection captures. Classic Balaam's Disobedience for just straight immunity. We were talking about the Spear earlier. It's useful on defense as well as offense. Typically I play it offensively, but it definitely has its uses defensively as well. And then Game of Speech can be played on both halves of the deck as well as the Roman Spear. That just really strong negate there is really good. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. We're going to see how it works out. Hopefully win a couple games with it.
Good luck. Play better than we did last. All right.
So I like my hand. I like seeing Son of God. However, the ability for my opponent to Vain Philosophy underneath is not ideal. I like seeing my heroes. I like seeing Vain Philosophy this early. I feel like this is a pretty strong opening for me. I'm pretty comfortable with it.
I'm not that excited about my opening hand. I do have decent defense. I have some blocks, but I don't have the offense I'd like to see. I'd like to get going a little quicker than what this is going to afford me the ability to do.
So Gabe let me go first, and I just kind of started plowing through with the offense. I've got the guy that searches out the armors, so we're going to start building that and see if we can't make it a quick game.
The best block I have available is to use Hymenaeus, search out Deluders, and then ban to Philetus. I was really disappointed to see Philetus in my opening hand. I would prefer to search him out and ban to him and have a different card in my hand instead, but I had them both. At least I get to ban.
So Gabe does this. I do have a line of play. I can protect myself from black with the armor that I just grabbed, and I have a card to remove one of the characters. So depending on what Gabe has in his hand, I potentially get a soul here, so I'm going to go ahead and try it.
Still my initiative. Let's underdeck that guy.
So I get rid of the one that searches because that's just good gameplay. I don't want him to keep generating more cards.
This also creates what would be a mutual destruction situation. John realizes he's protected. I don't at this point. I forgot that armor protects him from black. My guy happens to be black. So I'm really reluctant to play Hypocrisy. I'd like to save that for Mayhem, but it is my best play right now. I think I'm going to return him to hand. John reminds me that he's protected from black. Oh, joy. So Hypocrisy just gives me numbers, but it does cause a stalemate.
So he gets a block, and blocks are good. So we're going to count that as a win for Gabe, but I'm happy my character survives and lives to fight another day.
Even though I forgot about the protection from black, in hindsight, that is still the right play. I needed those numbers to cause a stalemate, and that did it for me. I'm definitely happy to pull the Awake Soul this early in the game, and the offense I was lacking in my opening hand just showed up in my first draw, so I'm pretty happy about that.
So as Gabe's searching my deck for a soul, I decided to go ahead and play Vayne. It was what I was going to do anyway. I just had to wait for him to make the decision on his soul. Sometimes we do things like that just to save some time on what's happening. Here, I picked this hero because she was really annoying in a couple other games we played. Not sure it was the right choice.
I am disappointed to see Afia go, but fortunately I still have other heroes. I'm trying to decide between the Archippus and Jude that I have to rescue with, and Jude seems like the best play since I have some battle winners. He's definitely going to give me initiative against most characters, so I push out with Jude in hopes of grabbing a soul. John checks to make sure I'm not going to choose a heretic to block, because I do have one in play.
And then I choose to block with this guy. I didn't really have a whole lot going on. I just wanted to make him play an enhancement. I also didn't think he had enhancement from when I looked at his hand, because I just missed stuff.
I'm going to choose John's Christian Soldier wearing a helmet to band 2.
You're incorrect.
Did I miss that too?
Yes.
My hope is that he will have to kill his own guy, and then I won't have to deal with him on my turn. Unfortunately, John is not going to do that for me. He's smarter than that. And I get a tap.
Taps are good. I'll prefer to give that up before soul most of the time. There are situations where I won't. So this is a great draw for me. Soldier really makes this deck crank out real quick. I play Game Wheel Speech right away. Sometimes I might save it for Peter to make it CBN, but I wasn't super concerned with Gabe trying to negate it, so I just went ahead and had it as an option. Being able to use it for either offense or defense, or to stop an opposing territory class enhancement is really good. This rescue things really get rolling. Soldier of God grabs me a Paladin, and then I go ahead and grab an armor and play it off of the band. These are really the three core heroes in the band if you think about it. One to search, one to prep it right away, and then obviously the band to get them all into battle at the same time. So at this point my hero is really stacked. He's protected from a bunch of stuff, and I have a bunch of characters in battle. I feel like Gabe's in trouble here.
The reason I grabbed Deluders on the first turn with Hymenaeus is that he discards an enhancement and he kicks the guys in battle out. He's good against banding, and these soldiers definitely banned. So I was looking forward to getting rid of one of John's armors and also kicking some guys out of battle. My hope was that I would be able to get rid of that annoying soldier of God. He really is the linchpin of that offense, and John, fortunately for him, had the Gamaliel Speech.
Which, as it turns out, is all I needed because Gabe just had the one. So I go ahead and burn that there.
Kind of stinks to waste my scattered like that, but it was the only play I had at the time.
I think this was a pretty rough play on Gabe's part. He was pretty desperate. If he had waited a turn or two, scattered off of Judas is really hard to stop.
Well, I was really hoping to draw some evil enhancements here. I really need to be able to hold John's offense off, but I did not get what I need. Unholy Writ's going to help, but against a band, it's not effective. Judas is a really nice character as well, but without enhancements to put on him, he's not going to cut the mustard. So I'm going to push Jude out again. He's still my best option for a rescue. I have battle winners. He's going to get me initiative against whatever John tries to do. And again, he checks to make sure I don't want to use my choose the blocker ability I can do once per game, and I do not.
And I just had no defense at this point. I'm not playing enough in the deck, I think, so I just had to give up a freebie, which is unfortunate. Here I pick up NJ to pair with my Son of God. I am feeling really good about things right now.
And now I realize if I would have held Scattered, I could play it on Judas this turn.
I choose to convert the heretic down there. I've already burned a few of Gabe's characters. If I can get rid of one more, it's potential that I just walk through for the soul for free.
I'm really disappointed with my misplay last turn, but at least I did hold Judas in my hand to protect him. I'm going to continue to hide him in my hand so he doesn't take up the second use of John's Holy Grail.
So here I do a multi-step process. First I search out the last hero I was missing, Saint of Virtue, and then my breastplate gets moved from my discard pile to in play through 3 different steps. Saint of Virtue recurs it from the discard pile and puts it on top of the deck, and then Christian Soldier searches for it, puts it in my hand. Paladin plays it, putting it on the hero. So I just moved it right from the discard pile. I did touch it to my hand briefly, and then I put it in play.
Unfortunately, at this point, I've already used Hypocrisy. I've already used Scattered. The stuff I'm going to do that's going to stop a big banding chain like this, my Diluters are gone. I have Judas in my hand, but he's not gonna do it. I'm pondering whether or not I should use the Writ. In hindsight, I probably should have just captured the Soldier of God at this point to stop the big banding chain from happening in future turns, but I did not. Instead, I surrendered the soul to John.
Free souls, gotta love them. As I pull my heroes back, I just adjust them a little bit, make sure that my territory is clean so we know what's going on.
So here I've drawn more evil characters, which is okay. I didn't draw souls, which is great, and I do have Mayhem. I don't want to play Mayhem because I don't want a chance drawing souls myself, or for John to draw another soul. I want to get that tap on the 2-liner that he has. I want to bring that home for the money, and my hope is that he doesn't have a blocker, just like last turn. But I do have Battle Winner, so I'm going out with Jude again. I want initiative, and he gives it to me.
This is another one of the situations, I didn't have anything to back him up. I was playing him to make Gabe burn something. I knew he probably had enhancement. But if I can burn offense now, I might pick up some blocks for free later.
That is true. In fact, I only withdraw him, so that guy will be around to block me again another turn. Unfortunately, there is no hero for the Lord Rebuke You to put on my deck. I confirm that I have 8 cards in my hand and then pass the turn to John.
So I draw some cards. I'm happy to see no souls. Allows me to return the favor of Soul Drought. I play some cards down, and I'm kind of sitting here debating kind of what the deck's looking like. Gabe and I are kind of talking here about how I don't have any soul generation. I'm not playing Shoes of Peace. He already got rid of my Away Claw soul, and I'm not playing the Hopper. So I'm kind of stuck here. So I play down Cornelius. I look at my hand a little bit, trying to debate whether I should show him a character or if I should discard something. I decided to show him Kenaniah, and then I pass the turn back to him.
I'm happy to see more permanents. Because he didn't draw souls, I really like to play Mayhem. I have more stuff I can set down. The Grail, Dragon Raid, and an evil character can all hit the table before Mayhem. So at this point, I'm just going to start setting my cards down, and we're going to see what we can cough up.
I was a little confused with what he was doing here at first, and then I realized that he had Mayhem in his deck. Usually people don't play like that unless they're going to play Mayhem. I showed that I had the big 2 and thought I was going to win this game easily.
Mayhem can be a big game changer. I'm hoping that the draw of Mayhem here is good for me, and that John will cough up some souls. There's a chance I could cough up souls too, but with all these evil characters, you would think I could pull off a block now. This is where I really wish that I still had Hypocrisy. If I could have put John's heroes back in his hand before that Mayhem, I have a feeling this game would be over. I could have reset him pretty hard.
Yeah, that definitely would have hurt me. I feel like my draw off this is okay. I drew some souls, which is unfortunate. I also picked up my I Am Holy, which I am a big fan of that card, especially because Gabe already has half his characters down, and he's played a ton of enhancements. I'm going to start hitting stuff, and he's not going to be able to block me.
Revealer puts my Falling Away on the bottom, which is unfortunate, and he coughs up another soul with it as well.
Which I am happy about. If I can redraw into my Son of God New Jerusalem, I'm sitting okay as far as the number of souls on the table.
So I'm pondering whether or not I should use Holy Grail on his evil character. In hindsight, I should have. I don't know why I decided not to at this point. I must have felt like I could beat the evil character. Jude has been working for me, so I'm going to give him another try, and I have a Jude enhancement in my discard pile.
So at this point, Gabe's ahead because he rescued that 3-liner soul, so he has 3. So I know that my Grapes is good here. It also allows me to do a small piece of soul manipulation.
Go block and exchange.
That new Centurion is really good. I think that people are really going to find that they like him quite a bit. Being able to exchange souls is really nice.
I really enjoy getting that Retribution Soul off Gabe's side of the table. I don't do a lot with his hand, but as you'll see in the coming turns here, I do a little bit, and so not having to forfeit cards to do so is a big bonus. This draw is great for me. I already have my offense on the table, so picking up the Christian Martyr to get a dominant block and the Sorrow, which as I just talked about, I don't have to pay a card for anymore, are both really good. So I decided to go ahead and Sorrow and see what I can do.
If I had Son of God at this point, that Sorrow would be absolutely amazing. It's still really good because my hand is so small. John knows exactly what I have, and he gets to take a card away from me.
And so he had 2 negate Battle Winner type cards. I chose the more deadly of them.
It's not uncommon for people to forget to pick up territory class enhancements after they complete the ability. I remind John to discard it, but I see people do that all the time, myself included.
Capture a female.
So Gabe's got a lot of characters down. I want to start removing those as best I can. So the first way to go is with that Tempter Lost Soul. I'm going to remove evil characters and try to get this offense through.
Taking my Sapphira is definitely a good play. I have the Egyptian Rebel on the table. He can band a Sapphira for a big by-the-numbers ban. So that was a great play by John.
So here I bait out a Dominant. Gabe only has 2 evil cards in his hand. One's Destruction, the other is his Battle Winner. So I'm fairly confident that he's going to Destruction that and hold his Battle Winner, which allows me to free up my other artifacts later on in the game.
And that was a good call. I did exactly what John made me do. So at this point, I feel like I probably have a block. I have a Can't Be Negated Against New Testament card that's going to underdeck some evil characters, and I can get a couple big guys in battle. So I'm feeling like I might be able to actually pull off a block for a change.
I spent a moment debating my initial turn because Gabe had so much defense on the table. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to sacrifice too much offense if my rescue did fail. I was debating playing a card down. I held it to make Gabe potentially make a misplay without him knowing it, obviously, but I was hoping to allow him to play less than optimally.
The huge Egyptian banded to Judas is a pretty strong play. Get Judas's Can't Be Negated protection going. I have some pretty high numbers. John is still killing me, though. So it's going to be a mutual destruction situation here. We're actually beating each other because those spiritual warriors have pretty low defense.
But pretty high offense, so it is mutual. I don't actually have anything to play here because I didn't draw any of the battle winners in the deck, so I just passed to Gabe. I'm willing to sacrifice the offense to get a soul.
Yeah, when all he would need is Son of God NJ, that would be a good play. If he could sacrifice those guys and get to 3, he would be set up pretty well. So I'm debating on which characters to put underneath the deck. I feel like I have to go after the guy wearing all the armor to get him out of play. And I really want to leave the Soldier of God. As I've mentioned before, he's really the linchpin to that offense, and I want to see him die by the numbers. I don't want him to come back. So that's the choice I make here.
And unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot that I can do. Like I said, I don't have any battle winners. So unfortunately, I mull the decision a little bit and then allow my characters to hit the discard pile. So my earlier debate was whether or not to play down Peter. I held him back, so now I allow the characters to die, I play Peter, and I heal my Soldier of God, which Gabe is not happy about.
Not at all. That was a great play on John's part, though. I didn't see that coming because I didn't know he had Peter. And that saved the linchpin to his offense so he can get things going again. Those 2 guys I just put underneath his deck, they're going to be back real soon. I'm not entirely thrilled with this draw. At this point, I would really like to start seeing some of my dominants. I haven't seen Christian Martyr, haven't seen Angel of the Lord, Son of God, New Jerusalem. It's about time some of those start showing up. And Music Leader is pretty solid. He's going to help me keep my good enhancements flowing. In this case, I'm going to exchange Created by Christ. I don't really need Soul Gen or character generation for that matter. And I'll get back a card that'll actually be helpful for me. And so I send Aphia into battle.
So I just used a Christian Martyr. I didn't really have a block, but that works really well. Gabe does heal her with Peter, which I expected. but 1 turn was all I was hoping to buy at that point because I thought I was winning. I'm really pumped to see Angel of the Lord here. He has a ton of characters on the table, so knowing that I'm going to be able to get rid of 1 or 2 of them is really, really good. So I grail a character. I don't want his Egyptian Rebel continuing to do that ban because I actually can't get past that. I didn't want to sacrifice my entire offense to it, so I get rid of him. I can't Angel Judas in territory, otherwise I would have considered doing that here because he is incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I have to say I'm extremely disappointed to lose the Egyptian Rebel. He's pretty important to this defense. That big banding against John's offense is one of the ways I'm going to be able to hold his characters off.
So I went ahead and used a Soldier's Prayer to get back that very important piece of armor. Gabe has had Unholy Writ up the entire game. If he could somehow get me down to 1 character, he could rid it. So I want to keep that character protected. I also play down the Spear, which I will use to remove another character.
And very wisely, John's going to choose to remove my Serpent. I would love to be able to paralyze his Peter so he can't heal to get under the paralyzation, and that would also stop him from playing good dominance for 3 turns. Buying myself 3 turns against Angel of the Lord, Son of God, and NJ, none of which he's played yet, would be really, really nice. John also knows that, though, and he's not going to let me do it.
Yeah, not being able to play those good dominants would have cost me the game right then and there, so I definitely wanted to remove that character. I'm okay with Gabe potentially blocking and creating a soul with Silly Women because I have plenty out. That was clearly the right choice.
Well, Silly Women has a nice ability to discard a good enhancement similar to the Diluters I used earlier. So I'm going to use her to get rid of that armor. We're going to keep that off the table as much as possible. That's going to allow me to use my writ, but that's not going to be effective. I'm not going to get to play any battle winners. John takes out my blocker.
Yep, multicolor scares me. I know Gabe's not playing a ton of stuff, but I didn't have anything to back those up anyway. I'm perfectly happy to take a soul that way.
Soldier of God is like a bad penny. He just keeps coming up, and so I finally decide to just use the writ and get rid of him. It was actually a terrible choice on my part. If John had Son of God New Jerusalem in his hand, I just gave him the 4th and 5th soul on the table by doing that.
Luckily, I did not have them, so Gabe lives another day.
I'm pretty happy with the draw this time around. I have an evil enhancement that potentially is going to get me a block. I also drew the linchpin to my offense. The Colossae Church is pretty important to this deck. And I have Epaphras, who's going to let me search out my Colossae heroes. The one I've really been waiting for is Philemon. He is going to let me start digging through my deck for those important dominants that I can't seem to find.
This is where Gabe really gets rolling here, and I know that I'm in trouble now.
I'm debating whether or not I want to be able to band using Paul's Books and Parchments, or if I want to convert somebody with Holy Grail. Banding with all the different character options I have could be really good. In this case, I decide the best option is to grail that blocker. It's what I should have done last turn, so I go ahead and do it this turn. And now it's time to send Epaphras, get Philemon, draw 3 cards.
It's worth noting that when that character converts, it is a Philippi hero. Regardless of it, it's converted through its own means or, as Gabe did, with the Holy Grail.
He does turn to blue, though, and not clay and red, which is good for me. The 3 cards that I pull off of Philemon are not the 3 cards I want, but still not bad.
So I remember my Fortress trigger, and Gabe has quite a few cards in his hand. I show off a bunch of stuff. I do hit my Son of God, which is unfortunate. I make a note that I wouldn't have drawn it anyway, but it's still not good to see it. I do pull an evil character that I can hopefully use to do something here. I don't think it's going to be enough, though.
In this case, at least he has a guy to block with, because prior to the Fortress, he didn't even have anyone to block with.
Yep, I got an evil character, so I toss him out. For a second, I thought I could generate another soul off of it, but he only transfers heroes over. I make a note of that, and then attempt to capture and remove one of his heroes just to beat the other one by the numbers. So I take Philemon because that's the better of the 2, and at this point, I'm winning the battle.
Yeah, that was a wise choice to get rid of Philemon. I want to use him to dig and dig and dig until I get to the cards I need. Fortunately for me, I have a negate, and that was all John had to try and stop me with, so I win the soul.
And so Gabe is at 4, and I know that I need to have a couple of really good turns. I'm sitting here with nothing in my hand to block him. I am in deep trouble.
Characters down. Pass the turn.
Get my hand down to 8 and pass the turn to John.
So I pick up a few cards, including a Writ, which I am thrilled to see. He does still have that band going on, but if I can handle that, I might be able to get a block next turn. So I take a moment here to consider where I want to play my armor. I decided to play it on Cornelius to improve him. The other option was one of the soldiers in that band there. I was just debating between my two rescue options. Option one is Peter with Cornelius. The other option is going out with the entire band. I've been pushing the band with a lot of success, but at this point I felt Peter Cornelius was just a little stronger.
Cornelius to Peter is a really strong rescue. Judas is going to give me a chance. I have Christian suing another in hand, and I'm going to try a side battle. It at least lets me dig deeper into my deck. If I'm lucky, I might find some dominance to help me get a block, or even the big 2. Actually, at this point, I just need Son of God, so that would be okay. I control Peter already, so I can't control his Peter. That leaves me with the Centurion. So I have initiative, and I'm going to try some crazy stuff here with Unity in Christ.
Which I'm sitting here like, this could get really ugly really quickly, and so now Gabe is bringing people into battle.
You'll pass your main option on that.
So here, as Gabe's acting his abilities, I realized that I had Cornelius in battle, who should be negating everything, and we take a second to discuss it and realize that the interrupt is ongoing, and so his abilities will work.
I think that's negated. Yeah, Cornelius negates characters except for axe characters.
But didn't I interrupt the battle?
Oh, right.
Through the course of the side? Cause I think
Yeah,
that interrupts
okay.
his
Yeah,
ability.
it does.
So that's accurate. It would be interrupted. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're playing
Yeah.
it right. Okay, so 1, 2...
Yeah, fortunate for me that Christian suing another turned off his negating of everybody but axe characters. That allows me to carry out a lot of nice abilities here, from Philemon to Jude to Claudia.
Yeah, the Philemon getting to draw 3 cards on a turn that isn't Gabe's. He basically got a Sabbath breaker without having to give up the soul, because he's feeling pretty confident about this block here.
Now, we also didn't catch this at the time, but that Roman jailer is blue. He's not clay and should not have been in battle. So at this point, I bring Claudia into battle. I'm counting my clay heroes. I have 8 clay heroes on the table, so she's going to reveal my top 8 cards. We see 2 souls, 3 cards that don't really matter, and then falling away Son of God NJ buried down there at cards 6, 7, and 8.
So now I know what the clock is. I have 2 turns to win, and not even, because his Philemon doubles his draw. I literally have a turn.
Yeah, at this point, unless John is holding Son of God, I'm feeling really good because I have this game in the bag. There's nothing that he's going to do apart from shuffling my deck in some way to stop me from getting my Son of God next turn.
And so now Gabe is done completing all of his abilities, and he is obviously killing my Peter and pass initiative.
I'll negate that. We're just going to cascade everything that you just did.
And I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and negate his interrupt, which, because of the way side battles work, cascades the entire stack of abilities that he just carried out. So we take a moment to undo and sort through what all is actually negatable and what all stays.
Yeah, this is really messy. Anytime you have a cascade negate like this, things can get really messy. So
That can be cascaded. So
undo Aphia's ability. Jude didn't get anything for me. Claudia, fortunately, can't be interrupted. Philemon also can't be interrupted, luckily for me. And I didn't end up using John's character, so nothing happens there. At this point, though, that puts us back to Judas fighting Cornelius and Peter.
It is worth noting that because of the way enhancements work with side battles,
back here.
right, because this is completely...
we totally played that wrong.
We did.
We totally played that wrong.
Unity in Christ should have been discarded because the side battle never took place.
And we totally left it in play.
If the side battle would have completed, that would have stayed in play. But the fact that the side battle was negated, that should have gone away. Either way, it didn't matter. It didn't do anything. Judas gave up a soul. He didn't live to fight another day.
And so I'm at 4, but like we talked about, I know Gabe's next turn, and I couldn't get to my Son of God.
So there's my 2 souls and the next 3 cards. I happen to hit that revealer. John sees his NJ and his Sabbath Breaker go under his deck. And all I need to do at this point is push Philemon into battle, and we're going to see 3 nice cards come up off the top of my deck. As they say, hindsight is 20/20. Rewatching our game and adding commentary has helped both John and I realize a number of things that we wish we would have done differently, both with deck building and with our gameplay this first time around.
I've kind of come to the realization that the deck isn't fast enough. It feels like it should be with Fortress, but I was really missing the ability to dig. Towards the end of the game, across the last 2 or 3 turns, Gabe drew an extra 9 cards off of Philemon, which put him 9 cards closer to his Son of God, New Jerusalem. If you look at the way the game played out, I was winning for 90% of it, and then Gabe stole it at the end because I wasn't able to keep up with him once he got really rolling. If I had had a 4 drachma coin or some other speed element, I feel like the deck would really be there.
The Belt of Truth would give John's deck a nice speed element. It lets him look at the top X cards and put 1 in his hand. And Shoes of Peace is another good element that would work well with his offense. It helps generate souls for his offense to rescue, and that way he doesn't get soul routed.
Thank you all for tuning in to our Persecuted Church game. We're going to hope to produce a couple more of these for you. Hopefully we play a little bit better, and then we do intend for these to be high-level games to help you progress your own gameplay.
Thanks for watching. Brought to you by Land of Redemption and Three Lions Gaming. Visit threelionsgaming.com for all of your redemption needs.